Hi. So welcome everyone to our panel on
Hello.
NFTs and luxury brands. I'm Babette Radclyffe-Thomas, a journalist and consultant, and I will be the panel host for this super exciting session. I'm so excited to delve into the world of NFTs and luxury and welcome our two expert speakers today, Paula and Olivier. Hi.
Hello. Hi, Babette. Hi, Paula.
Hi. So firstly, we have Paula Marie Kilgareth. Paula is a global retail innovation and emerging technologies lecturer at Technological University Dublin. She is the business development and partnerships director at Clout Art, an NFT-powered social media platform that empowers content creators to turn their most valuable Instagram posts and TikToks into unique NFTs. This sounds absolutely fascinating, and I personally can't wait to hear more about that soon. And joining Paula today is Olivier Moingeon, Chief Commercial Officer and founding member of Exclusible, an NFT marketplace dedicated to luxury brands across 5 segments: fashion, watches, jewelry, beauty, and supercars. This platform will go live in just 2 weeks' time with their own NFT drop, and they will launch their first brand NFT before the end of the year. How exciting! So
Very exciting.
Great. So before starting Exclusible, Olivier worked in luxury throughout his 18-year career. His most recent position was CEO of Bastide, a French natural beauty company owned by Frédéric Fekkai. Before that, he was managing director of Goyard, with the mandate to set up their Americas subsidiary and open all their retail stores in the region. Prior to Goyard, he spent 11 years at Cartier in various management positions between retail and wholesale. So welcome, Paula and Olivier. Thank you so much for joining us today. I would love to delve straight into our questions now. So we've got about a 30-minute panel now to talk just about luxury and NFTs. So firstly, why do you both think that luxury or fashion brands should care about NFTs?
Sure. So, Paula, do you mind if I go first on this one? Sure. So I think it's very important for luxury brands to pay attention to what's happening, because NFTs are at the convergence of multiple massive trends which are profoundly changing the way consumer and people interact with brands and also shop, and also the kind of items they shop for. And I also like to relate that or compare it to what happened 20 years ago when e-commerce came along. Luxury brands were late to the party. They were not early adopters of e-commerce. Why? Because for them, it was absolutely impossible to have a client buy a love bracelet from Cartier or a Rolex watch or a Vuitton or Dior bag online. It was simply anti-luxury. It was not the experience that they were spending millions of dollars in building through their stores and their physical experiences. So then a few years later, the second-hand market came along, the resale economy, which is expected to be $75 billion by 2025. But back then, 2008, 2010, when the Real, Vestia Collective, Rent the Runway, all these companies came along, luxury brands' posture was to say, if someone wants to buy a used pair of Gucci sneakers, good for them, but that's not our client. It's not our target. We're not going after that clientele, and they can do whatever they want, but we're going after our traditional luxury client. So they missed out on 2 massive trends, e-com and resale. And the pandemic showed that they had to accelerate and fast track digital and technological adoption. So now when we talk to brands, all of them are super curious to understand what's happening here with NFTs, what's happening in the world of crypto, where is the world going? Because at the end of the day, it's all about the consumer. And if the consumer is going into those new territories, brands have to listen and to adapt.
Fascinating. Thank you. Yeah, Paula, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, that's a very fair point. So we're still in Web 2.0, but we're moving into Web 3.0 and including the metaverse. And the metaverse basically is a 3D representation of e-commerce. So a lot of the luxury brands are capitalizing on leverage on the idea of digital assets. And these digital assets, like digital fashion, can be NFTs or non-NFTs. And we see a lot of brands like Dolce & Gabbana, for example, we saw there in the last 2 weeks, are really paving the way in this kind of NFT technology, and they're starting to utilize Web3. So I'm very excited about digital fashion and digital assets, and I think it's going to be a real winner in the future.
So I think that really ties into the next question I wanted to ask you about, especially what Olivier was saying about how luxury might not have understood previously how to tie in, say, e-commerce and secondhand retail, how that could meld with luxury, but now they're trying to be up at the cutting edge of NFTs. So how can you reconcile the ideas of heritage and craftsmanship, which are so central to luxury and luxury brand identity? How do you reconcile them with the concept of a purely digital asset?
Yes, that's really at the center of all the discussions we have with the brands. That's usually the conversation starter. That's the first question they ask us. Like, we are 100, 150, 200-year-old heritage brand from France, from Italy, from the UK, whatever. And we have this craftsmanship. We use noble materials. We believe in scarcity. There's only so much we can produce. So how does that translate into a purely digital asset? And how do we price that asset? And so again, the question is to say that it's all about kind of like opening the chakras and approaching the thing from a completely different angle. And to say that NFTs, the nature of NFTs, it's scarcity, it's about extreme creativity, and it's about access, which is by nature somehow limited, because first of all, you have to do some efforts at least today, you have to make some efforts to really dig into this world and dive into this world and access the NFTs. And also there's usually very limited supply. So all these attributes are kind of the same as luxury brands to begin with, scarcity, limited access, and also extreme creativity. And so our hypothesis is to say that the consumer, the fans, they will value digital creativity as much as physical creativity in the future. And they will want to basically spend money to dress their virtual identity as much as their physical identity. And once you have established that kind of that fact, then it opens up a completely new array of creativity and a new way of tackling those marketing and product, and it's really product innovation kind of initiatives. And you think about it a different way rather than completely comparing physical to digital.
And also just to talk to that point there about NFTs, historically, NFTs are used for provenance, authenticity, ownership in fashion, supply chains, but moving more into what Olivier talked about, 3D objects, we're seeing that NFTs can be used with other kinds of technology like AR and VR to create immersive experiences. I think also NFTs, are going to help preserving heritage, culture, and craftsmanship, because essentially it's burnt onto the blockchain saying that this craftsmanship's happened, it's coming from this heritage, and so on and so forth. So it kind of acts as kind of like, even though we're in the digital twinning process, we know that in the future, all these kind of French heritage methodologies of creating luxury goods will be preserved in history. So that is also something I think NFTs is really going to add value from the supply chain point of view, provenance point of view, but also in terms of creating these digital wearable assets.
Yes, and actually, it's a very good point. And if I can add,
Yes,
an NFT, as Paula was saying, you have companies like Ariane, you have the Aura blockchain consortium doing wonderful things on the idea that an NFT, it's a way to track and trace provenance and to guarantee ownership of the product. What we do at Exclusible is more on the lines of selling, NFTs created by brands. It's more on the commercial and creative or product side. But ultimately, what matters is the utilities that are attached to the NFT. It's a gateway between an audience or the NFT holders and the brand. And then the NFT allows the brands, through the smart contracts, it allows the brands to, schedule and plan and create an entire program of activation, again, between the brand and the holder, whether it's in the digital world through events in Decentraland or different types of wearables or different types of AR filters, and or it's physical. And that's what we saw at the Dolce & Gabbana drop, where there was an entire list of physical activations that went beyond the timeline of the drop, it's a long-lasting relationship that's initiated through the NFT between a very special client and the brand.
That's fascinating. Some really interesting, thought-provoking points there. Thanks so much. So, as well as heritage, right now luxury brands are really trying to grapple with sustainability and how luxury brands can be more sustainable. Should they be more sustainable? So, can you tell us more about that relationship between NFTs and luxury or sustainability at the moment?
Yes. So the backdrop of what's happening right now in the luxury world, there is an extremely positive rebound post-pandemic. All the groups are doing well. The brands that were in a strong position pre-pandemic are doing well right now. Okay, it acted almost as a filter and a Darwinism of retail through these 2 years of COVID. Sustainability is at the core of what luxury brands are doing at the moment, and all of them, whether group or privately held, are retrofitting strong sustainable projects and concepts and initiatives within the architecture of their brand. Why? Again, it always goes back to the same thing. It's the consumer. And so we know that with Gen Z and younger millennials, we see the advent of conscious consumerism, and people want to know where their products are made. And they want, we always say they vote with their dollars, and they elect to spend on companies that are perceived as doing more good than bad, or being more conscious, or being aware and controlling their ecological and also human impact. And so that's the backdrop on which the entire luxury commerce is happening. That's what the new generation cares about. So of course, sustainability is absolutely paramount, and brands are not going to start doing NFTs if it adds burden, if it's it charges their sustainability and it goes against all the objectives that they are trying to achieve.
That's a great point there, Olivier. I think as well, bringing the customer on a journey, using various technologies to get them involved in the development of the type of luxury goods is going to play a big deal. And particularly with NFTs, we've noticed a lot of co-creation where you have different kinds of stakeholders participating in building these products and services long term. So these kind of technologies are going to allow for that. And that's something I think is really going to be beneficial for luxury industry in terms of building new communities and being more transparent and open about where they source, how they source, real-time decision making based on what the customer wants to buy, that kind of thing.
Yes, absolutely. And so that's why there's a choice in the chain that's used to mint the NFTs. And so in our case, we will use Ethereum and Polygon. And so we're really welcoming the move from POW to POS at Ethereum to really lower the energy consumption. It's just, it's not even a question that energy consumption needs to be tackled, and it is, and it's only going better and better day by day. Because for our business, we know that it's an absolutely critical point and objective for the brands.
Definitely. So I think you've both touched on this a bit already, but I'd love to delve into it now in a bit more detail because you already mentioned D&G's recent drop. But what kind of NFTs do you think fashion or luxury companies could look into developing now?
Well, personally, for me, I collect 3D wearable NFTs. So I like to create or collect digital fashion wearables that can be viewed via AR filter. I normally buy my 3D wearables from the Dematerialized, which is and I paid by fiat. But there are other types of NFT platforms. So NFTs for me as a consumer would be 3D wearables. Maybe NFTs for suppliers might be something else related to the blockchain. But I definitely think I am an NFT 3D wearable customer. So I think we're going to see a lot of brands. They'll have a category called screenwear, where I'll be able to log in, check out the various, and not necessarily whether NFTs or not, but I'm still interested in 3D digital assets. So I think luxury brands are going to start producing, and I as a consumer would be interested in buying those kind of digital assets.
No, absolutely. I love the term screenwear. I never heard it before. It's really cool. But yes, definitely. So first of all, we share this vision. Um, the reason why we did Exclusible is because we believe that in 5 years, let's say 5 years, down the road in the future, every luxury brand, every brand per se, will have what you just described, the screenwear collections built in within their website. It's going to be part of their product portfolio, and there will be a complete harmonious coexistence between physical products and digital products, and they will serve different functions. They will have their own price points, their own architectures, their own marketing. But in order for that vision to get realized, NFTs are kind of the beginning. Like, it's the fantastic opportunity for brands to tap into this new universe, this new world, this new territory. And so I completely agree with Paula. Wearables seem so obvious for brands. There's also another aspect that we think is interesting for brands, and a lot of in all our discussions, it comes along pretty often. It's the idea that brands have archives, and they have a very rich heritage, very rich, imagery. There's so much like of an emotional capital and cultural capital built in within each brand. Throughout the ages, they have collected amazing, they were part of amazing cultural moments, but they have also collected artifacts and documents and drawings and concepts and archives and unique pieces that are also part of their heritage and that have value in terms of being collectibles or being a way to tell the story in a different way to an audience that has never heard it before.
Yeah, I think they call it digital twinning, isn't it? When you're taking a physical asset and you're making it digital.
Yes.
I have had the pleasure of visiting, I think it's the Patrimony from Chanel Haute Couture about three years ago. And I remember thinking, there's so much history here that people don't know about. It's so fascinating. So I'd say brands are probably trying to preserve that heritage through creating a digital twin so they can share it with their customers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I think this morning I was reading that Bulgari is doing a project which is a very long, very grandiose art project that will be ultimately sold as an NFT. So that's another way. It's really in terms of tapping into the creative world. It's artistic collaborations. It's also engagement with your fans, with your clients, with your community, to co-create some type of artwork that could then be tokenized, could be sold as an NFT.
That's absolutely. And I think as well, when you talk about like including people, I know that, I'm not a fashion designer as per se, but I have heard of platforms like Digital Acts where they're completely digitally native and they've baby NFTs and parent NFTs, and you can actually go in and create your own NFT outfit based on the textures, the zip, all the kinds of features. So I've always wanted to be, a fashion designer, but I didn't have the skills. But now I can log on to a platform and I can create my own clothing without having to know, the traditional process of creating garments. And it'll give access to young designers and to participate with large brands.
Yes, absolutely. Digital Acts, it's a great example, and Emma is basically building the infrastructure for fashion Web3, and we think it's really amazing what she does. And yes, in this vision that I was mentioning, saying that in the future, all the brands will have physical and digital collections, 100%. In their studios, in their workshops, they will start hiring digital designers from digital schools, and they will sit along, next to these young fashion designers coming out of fashion schools.
And we actually, I've seen them on Instagram already, like DressX are rocking up with, the way you have that stress about the hashtag OTT, outfit of the day. A lot of influencers now are starting to think, okay, I can't change my outfit every day, but if it was a digital version, I wouldn't feel so guilty. So we are seeing on social media that the influencers are starting to use digital clothing to, express their personality and so on. So it's definitely going to be mainstream as well, I think.
Yes, absolutely.
It sounds like there's some really exciting, fantastic opportunities there, but you've both gone over amazing insights. Thanks so much. So I was just wondering, as there's so much opportunities, what do you think the key challenges are for luxury or fashion brands going into this space?
I think personally myself would be probably the infrastructure around Web3. Also, for example, working for Cloudout, I'm very cautious to say that we're a crypto brand. I never say it because my part of the business, I'm there to convert non-crypto natives and bring the commercialization of social media NFTs. So that's quite challenging for me to try and, appeal to people who don't come from the crypto space. That's the first thing. And the second thing probably then will be the infrastructure. And I'm talking about hardware. So I know we're in some sort of chip war at the moment between the US and Taiwan. So I think the materials that we use to build out, this Web3 ecosystem, silica, for example, is quite rare. So I think we're going to see challenges from a hardware perspective, and also as well in terms of education. So I know coming from the universities, we're in a very, very we're on a steep learning curve to quickly bring in Web3 technologies into the curriculum, so we can actually have the people ready to produce and build this new Web3. So yeah, there would be the three kind of challenges for me.
And if I can add one, I think it's also the marketing machine, because brands have really developed such skills at creating desirability and creating connection throughout the funnel with their beautiful marketing. But the conversation within the NFT and crypto worlds audience happen outside of those platforms. It happens on Discord, on Telegram, on Twitter. That's where the community lives and hangs out and interacts. Whereas brands have mastered the communication on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Now they are doing Twitch. And Discord and Telegram are not advertising platforms, and they are like blogs. It's like you have to talk, you have to interact, you have to engage constantly. And so I think that poses one of the challenges, is that if tomorrow Gucci wants to start selling NFTs on their website, it's not complicated for them. Like they can easily invest the amount of money and just the time they need to build a blockchain module on their website or create their own experience. But then it's how do you drive traffic? Because as Paula was saying, like Paula is one of the clients of digital fashion because she knows the space and she's the target, and she will go on the dematerialize and use her credit card. But the client who's never heard about Web3, doesn't know NFTs, you need to do a massive amount of education and evangelization. And then you need to drive that person onto the right website. And then you need to educate them on how to transact. And so by solving the blockchain technological problem, if brands want to basically do it on their own, they open a new problem, which is marketing and driving that traffic.
Yeah, fascinating there. Thanks so much for giving us some insight into the challenges. I think you spoke about a bit before about the forward vision, or what's the next step for future. Do you, in the NFTs and fashion luxury space, do you have anything else that you want to add that you see coming on the horizon that you're really excited about, or what do you think is the next steps?
Well, obviously, we're moving into the metaverse, so making sure that our technology is sound. And then we have things around data protection. We're going to have new business models. There's a lot of challenges coming. So I think, brands have to be pretty much ready for that. So it's really about preparing for Web3 is going to be the focus. And I think it's a great opportunity, like Olivier said, for luxury brands to create this new place where they can, interact with their customers, bring them on the journey and deliver, new kinds of products and services. So the focus really is creating solid technology really around the whole kind of space and giving people confidence in utilizing NFTs.
And I think it's the first time we use the word metaverse.
Yeah, you're right.
25 minutes.
Whole panel.
Yeah. Quite an accomplishment. But yes, if I can add, the situation like where we are right now, there are three massive trends. You have on all markets. On one end, you have the personal luxury good market, which is going to be, let's say, $450 billion by 2025. But at the same time, you have the metaverse, which is expected to grow 6 times in the next 4 years and to reach $280 billion. And then you have gaming, which is growing at like 3x in the next 4 years to reach more than $200 billion. So you have these three huge markets. They don't know each other. They don't talk to each other. They don't interact. They exist like in total silo compared to each other. But the one common element to all of them, it's the client, it's the consumer, it's the user, it's that person, that Gen Z, younger millennial, Gen Alpha. I cannot even talk about Gen Alpha. It's completely native for them. Virtual, physical, doesn't matter. It's you, yourself, your expression, your identity, and you can dress different ways. You can express your identity, your values, your opinions in different ways. And so in the very near future, these three worlds are going to basically be merged and collide and interact so much more, especially because luxury brands need new fuel. They need new growth engines. They have boutiques in pretty much every geography in the world. They are selling in every single distribution channel, whether it's e-com, retail, wholesale, social commerce is big, live streaming video is big. It's coming up. And communication channels, to exist and to have your voice heard on TikTok and Insta and Facebook is becoming more and more complicated. So this general situation it demands a new way, like a new opportunity. And NFTs and digital assets are the convergence of those three huge markets. And that's where customers will be.
Wow, well, thank you both for such an insightful and thought-provoking topic. There's so much more I could talk to you both about for hours, I think, on this topic, and I'm sure lots of our viewers probably could as well. So I was just wondering, if the viewers would like to find out more about either of you or the projects you're working on or connect with you, what's the best way to find both of you?
So you can find me on LinkedIn, or you can send me an email at cloudart, p.cloud.art, where I'm building an NFT social media empowered platform. So you can check out CloudArt.
And for me, LinkedIn and Exclusible.com. And you can find all our channels. You can find me on Twitter, on Discord, and you have all our contact information on the website.
Perfect. Well, thank you both so much and have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, Babette. That was
Bye-bye.
great. Bye, Paula. Bye, Babette.